Hey everybody. Eric, I think I just promoted you to panelist as well. Let me know if you see that come on your screen. Oh no, not you. Remove. Hmm. 1 second, everyone. Hmm. I don't see you in here though, Eric, as a panelist. Or your name. Okay, here you are, Eric. Promote to panelist. There we are. Okay, there he is. There he is. Yay!
Yay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
How's everyone doing? How are you doing, Eric? Thank you for joining us.
Doing very well. Having a great week so far.
Nice.
Excited to be here.
We're so happy to have you here.
I'm a Symphony day one.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's a real one. Everything is sort of echoing in a weird
Okay,
way.
maybe see if I can take my headphones off.
Sounds good to me. Am I the one echoing? Yeah, it sounds normal to me as well. Hey, Meg. Okay. Avi, I'm wondering if it's maybe a speaker thing. Hmm. Where's everyone tapping in from? Oakland, Miami.
Brooklyn, Meg, what up? Am I real echoey or are we crispy?
I think you're good. Everyone's saying you're good. You sound good to me too.
Nice, crispy. We're good to go. Awesome.
Just
Well,
give people a couple more minutes.
let's vibe.
Yeah. Let's see.
What
Eric, do you want me to share screen or do you want to share screen? I can do like slides for you. I
You
do.
can do it. Yeah, and a lot of this is just up here. The slides are just the guide.
Yeah.
Yep. What song is everybody listening to this week? What we got on repeat? Let's see what y'all jamming right now. Oh yeah, that song is a heater. Yep, a lot of that. Oh, Guantanamo Bay Surf Club. All right. Isaiah Rashad Project. Okay. New Skrillex. Okay. That's what's up.
Okay, I don't know why Jackson is in here as a panelist, but I think Zoom was glitching for a second. Let's remove him. Okay, should be rejoining as an attendee.
Jordan Kyle featuring Kari, Another Life. That's probably a heater. Gotta check it out. Oh yeah, Meg, you got that Zay project on repeat. New album, Berlin Nights. Probably about to be a heater. JPEG Mafia for sure. Lots of vibes. Everybody's got a nice crispy music taste.
We love that. Guys, also, as Eric goes on, feel free to drop in questions in the chat. And at the end, we'll set some time for Eric to answer questions in real time as well. So yeah, I'll be reading them so Eric doesn't have to like talk and also monitor the questions.
Yeah, yeah, you can interrupt at any time. I'm a kind of go with the flow kind of guy, so
Can everyone
um
see the screen cool as well?
I can see the screen vibes.
Nice. Can you guys still
Everyone's
see
staying
me?
hydrated in the summer.
Important. I caught a really annoying cold, so I'm like sweating a little bit over here.
Get well soon, Mo.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna seize the algo, everyone. Today,
Yes.
we're gonna learn how to seize the algo. Um, this is gonna be fun.
I think we should get the show going.
All right, I'm ready to get started. All right, so everybody, it's great to have y'all. Thanks for coming and giving interest to this topic. Mo, thank you for having me. Shout out to Meg. Shout out to Chuka. Shout out to Symphony. Um, Engineers, innovators in the space. So yeah, thanks for this time. Today we're talking about seizing the algorithm and the systems and strategy behind it, about systems and strategy behind virality. So a lot of people over the years have gone viral sometimes, and sometimes they don't understand why. And today's discussion is to kind of reverse engineer and deconstruct what is virality, how to understand it when you see it, and then how to kind of recreate it for yourself. And yeah, that's the thesis of today. So, going viral. Um, Basically, what I was just saying. Um, what we're trying to do is learn how to produce virality at scale. And there's all kinds of friction and second guessing and overcoming that you have to do in order to be able to produce virality on the regular. And so what we're going to talk about today is the playbook on how I've used. We can go to the next slide. Also how I've used over the past few years this playbook to grow a few different artists and projects to really big heights in the algorithm. One is an artist that I managed named Mon Rovîa, and we had an epiphany a few years into our journey that we needed to treat TikTok as like the means of like the gatekeeper, and we needed to treat it as the means of our distribution. And so we set out on a quest to overcome the algorithm on TikTok. And we started to understand it as this video game that had levers. And essentially, the levers are five buttons: likes, comments, saves, shares, there's and reposts. And then the final one is retention time. So then I saw content in this kind of like video game type of way and realized that every piece of content was built in such a way that there was a call to action, whether direct or indirect, that was prompting the viewers of that content to press on one of those levers, which would then scale it in the app. So realizing that as like just this pattern baseline was key for me realizing the assignment on how to approach the algorithm in this new era. So I grew Mon Rovîa. We started to get a lot of ground getting into the For You page often with this playbook. And then I came across another artist named Goldford, and we kind of recreated the playbook with him and gained twice the followers in like half the time. And that is a big testament of what we'll also be talking about, which is optimizing. And so learning what works, honing it, refining it, and then doubling and tripling down on it. And so my success with Goldford was a result of that doubling down and tripling down on what I already knew was working through my work with Mon Rovîa. Now, this all can continue. This is like basically a lot of me talking about content strategy from the artist perspective. But there was another side of this video game that I was also playing, which is sound campaigns. And that brings me to this artist, Gregory Allen Isikoff. He's a farmer. He doesn't do TikTok. And we still managed to create a lot of success for him by moving his songs on TikTok. And so that's this other side of the video game. Basically, the thesis of today is like these two things that matter: content strategy and sound campaigns, and how when the two combine, they can create a moat of discovery for your career. And so we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so the algo is like I was describing earlier, not like a mystery, it's a machine. And when you understand the code of the machine, the incentives of the machine, then you can kind of properly align yourself into it to extract value from it and give value to it. So it runs on these rules. We go to the next slide. This is kind of a general point about it. So yeah, this is what I was saying earlier about chasing the like understanding the levers of the algorithm and the likes, comments, save, shares, retention time. So these are all these buttons that are there. Um, what I really want to get into is like how each of these buttons are pressed. So um, I break down content strategy for artists into formats. And formats are like your vehicle to where you can just depend on it. And anytime you feel like you need to go make new content, you have these pre-known formats that you can use to approach your content strategy. So what I teach artists is 5 formats. So I teach and Meg, and Mo, we can go to the next slide. I'm just yapping about this stuff. The 5 formats that we're teaching is performance, transition, carousel, digital postcard, and reaction. All of these formats make some of those buttons we were discussing, the levers, be pressed for different reasons. These are designed to kind of hack attention. When we're scrolling on the For You page, we're trying to see content that would be relevant to us. And so, like, our amygdala is flaring and we're in like fight or flight pretty much. These formats are like bypassing that filter that we're currently experiencing while doom scrolling. So, how do you bypass that filter? You have to make content that becomes relevant to the viewer. And so I call it holding a mirror to the audience, so that they can see themselves in the content you're creating. So these 5 formats are the ones that have become pillars for my content strategy with the artist. So if I was to just quickly describe them to you, there's performance format, which every artist has a version of them performing. But just the performance is not enough because we have to earn attention. So performance formats are basically have strong hooks that are earning attention so that the viewer sees a connection to it, to the performance, and wants to stay till the end. So there's a ton of references for that. A lot of artists have different iterations of a performance format, but that's format number one. Number two would be transition format, and that's built on creating a suspense or tension in the first 3 to 7 seconds, and then creating like a dopamine release on the other side of that transition. Um, when you create that dopamine release, like it just feels like an epiphany in the head of the viewer, and they're just inclined to send it to their friend or engage or comment or like. That's the transition format. A lot of great references there, a lot of artists that have used this format to get to 1 million followers. There's also the carousel format, which is picture driven, but it's not just random pictures. There's these pictures have a sequence. It's the sequence of storytelling. How do you get somebody to the last slide? You have to create suspense, tension, and then resolve. And so a carousel format that's viral is something that understands this deeper storytelling pattern and then sets the carousels up accordingly. And the algo is really clocking people getting to that last slide and then engaging from there. So that's the carousel format. Can be used in a lot of creative ways. And then there's the digital postcard, which we see like a lot of creators use, which is kind of like this relatable quote, the song playing. The relatable quote maybe was like a really viral tweet that got repurposed to the universal theme of your song. And that's just really easy. That's like a lot of what the internet is made up of is digital postcards. Memes are digital postcards. Um, and then the final one I really emphasize to people, which is probably the internet's favorite format, is the reaction. And that's about creating mimetic desire in the viewer. And so back to what I was saying earlier about us mirroring, holding a mirror to the audience, this is the epitome of that. All our favorite, the NBA finals were just on. And when New York just won, they were cutting to all these reactions of these celebrities watching the tip in. And that's where the viewer is getting a lot of their satisfaction, is seeing uh, the emotion mirrored on the audience of the performance. So there's some artists like Jake, JVKE, who used the reaction format to launch his whole career by performing his song for his old piano teacher. And then the viewer is experiencing the emotion of the piano teacher. It's also holding retention time because it's like a promise of a payoff. And we want to see what the reaction is so that it can inform us how to feel about that performance. And that's the five formats in a nutshell. They all scale for different reasons. They all prompt the viewer to press on those levers for different reasons, which then sends your content into the For You page for different reasons. Now, on the flip side of this, let's see what slide we got on the other. Yeah, after this, we got Find Your Golden format. So you'll see some pages um, test and test and test and see what works. And then they double down. They find something that goes. And then all of a sudden their page just becomes that format. There's no shame in that game. In fact, like that's how some of the best pages are where they are. They find a golden format, they get it to work, and then they just become that all the way. And they like somebody just gets reaction formats to go, he uses it to scale. Or some artists just have like they juggle them, some they're doing a transition, they're staying creative with the performance, or they're doing the digital postcards. To each their own. I think what matters most is your career. And if you're trying to get to where you're trying to go next in your career, um, I believe artists need to kind of have a hacker mindset in this next era of how to get through the For You page. And so reverse engineering formats and seeing what works for other artists is the name of the game, and then using it to find your golden format and then scaling with it. So that's the long story short about content strategy. I will say this, I didn't add these into the slides, but there's the levers, there's the formats, and then there's ingredients. There's like 10 ingredients that I have become aware of that is in everything that is viral. It's universal themes, agitation content, uh, it's call it EWOC, which is effective without context. It's like cute animal videos or whatever, like things that you just see it and you know it. Exclusive content. That's why I like things like MTV Cribs and the Kardashians. Like people are obsessed with that world that they're not otherwise going to see insight into. There's value, which I would say this conversation is like a value driven format about education or an exchange of information that could be useful to others. ASMR is a form of viral content. There's promise of a payoff, which is kind of why the transition format goes viral, why the reaction format goes viral, is because we're trying to get to the end of the video to see what the payoff is. And the beginning of the video is cueing us that there's something at the end worth waiting for. Um, and then there's novelty, which is just things you wouldn't expect to see, and it's there. There's mimetic desire, which we were talking about, mirroring the emotions that we're seeing someone else uh, experience while a performance is happening. And then the last is pattern interruption, which is like another thing with the transition. A lot of comedians understand this. We're predictive creatures, but when you break what we are predicting, it jolts us, and then all of a sudden we can get a good kick out of it. So those are the ingredients. They fit into the formats and they go viral when they're used strategically. And yeah, I just wanted to help remove some of the fog behind virality with that. Where else are we? Is everybody following along? I know I'm yapping pretty strong right now.
Yeah, I also just stopped sharing the screen because I feel like people would probably prefer to see you than just the context behind it. And I know
Cool.
that you're kind of talking off your mind. So let me know if you want me to bring it back, but I think
No,
it's
it's
probably
cool. I
better
can
to.
just use the slides to guide
Okay.
what I was saying next, but I'm happy to just explain with my hands and my
Yeah,
face.
I
So
feel like everyone's dropping the 100 emojis, so they want to see you over what we had going on. So let's keep it this way, and everyone does seem to be following. We love everything you're saying. We want more EC, they're saying. So you're
nice.
on screen.
Yeah, so we're lifting the veil.
Yes,
Virality
yes,
is a recipe. It's like your grandma's favorite recipe that she knows, and
yes.
she'll teach you though because you're fam, and so we're fam, and we're all learning here together.
We love it.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of the long story short on content strategy. There's the video game aspect. There's the formats you can use to scale. There's the ingredients that are found in all of these formats. And then when you see things get onto your For You page, um, things that were hidden in plain sight are now revealed. And you're like, oh, they're just utilizing the reaction. Cool. Good framing. They cooked. Let me do that for myself. So that's kind of been my workflow for years to get to where I am. Then we'll go to the next part, which is about sound campaigns and how this is the other side of the app, which the app itself is looking for signals. And so the signals are UGC is the signal of the apps. And so that's user generated content. And it's not just like your fans posting to it, it's viral content posted to it. And so there's some accounts on TikTok and Instagram that understand viral content. And so we run campaigns with those kinds of creators who understand the assignment of virality. They're probably doing one of these formats really well and using it to scale. And then we book our sounds to those pages. We have like a really great network of these pages. We build these pages and for some of our clients. And when UGC motion starts happening to a sound, it's signaling to the app that there's something going on here worth scaling. And so when you put your content strategy into a sound campaign that has a moat of virality happening to it, it pops off. That's all that ever happens. It's the only thing I've ever seen happen. And so my playbook for years has just been cool. I need to create a moat for as cheap as possible with the spend, get as far as I can with it to unlock the sound so that my content starts to rip. And then what happens when that happens? You have a popularity score on Spotify and Apple. And all of this video gaming of your art is to grow your score. And as that score grows, your distribution grows. And the difference in your score is a big range in its consumption of algo, Discover Weekly, radio, streams. And those are the gatekeepers now. That's the consumption. It's not editorials. It's can I get the app to know that I'm lit and how? And it's just the combination of these two things, plus some ads ran by Symphony on top of your winning content. So yeah, I think that was a big part of where I was going is what I try to teach, and we run these campaigns for a lot of the industry of all kinds of clients of different genres. It spans different sounds. The strategy's the same. Um, And the gap in where we are as an agency and our clients is, do they understand the assignment on content strategy? Because if they do, and we run our campaigns, it's likely they're going to really pop off. So that's kind of like the perfect storm. And uh, yeah, let me get to the next part. Um, yeah, the content lifts the sound lifts the content. You run it up. You can use different tools like Chartmetric or I don't know to get your popularity score and see where your song is in relation to the rest of your catalog, see where your streams per day of that popularity score are in relation to the rest of them. And then you're like trying to get songs of yours over different thresholds. Like, oh, it's 44. I need to get it over 50. And you just cook on it until you get it there. And that's been how I've been going about things. Yeah, so we're trying to build a content system, sound campaign system, and then I built a course that teaches artists this. So I try to teach people how to fish so they can eat for life. In the course, I teach people things that save me thousands of hours a year, like posting to other channels by setting up automations that are mirroring certain channels that are posting to those channels for me, and they're growing on easy mode. Like, for example, Mon Rovia's Facebook, it's got like 2 million followers. And that's just a result of how we approached the content strategy and automations and like mirroring the YouTube to mirror the Facebook. And then it's like this rising tide of growth that's happening even while I take a break, do other things, still happening. So I think there's a lot of power in, to break it all the way back down to the beginning, uh, really honing your content strategy, understanding the importance of UGC, and then setting up a system that removes friction from your life and allows you to, that allows work to happen on your, in your sleep. I always say now, if you do it twice, then learn how to automate it. And so if you're posting to these other YouTube shorts and stuff regularly and it takes an extra 15 minutes out of your day each time, figure out how to automate it. And we'd be happy to help if you have any questions on that. And then, yeah, let me keep it going. Um, yeah, I think I was going to lightly touch on AI and how I call it like the eras of music that we've been in. We went from the editorial playlist era into the algo era, and now we're in the AI era. But like people are gonna really win in the AI era because they understand the mechanics of what made them succeed in the algo era. So all of these are building blocks for this next era. Um, my first point about AI is it's the execution layer, but it is only as creative as you are. And so you, the human, um, have really powerful software baked in since you were a kid called imagination. And AI, it ain't shit without imagination. So it requires your imagination to build systems and to reverse engineer what actually works and then feeding that to AI as templates. So that's my most sound advice, is like how to treat AI is that uh, assume it knows nothing and treat and give it real structures that actually work, and not just like, don't expect AI to be creative for you, because I've seen it give a lot of slop ideas. And so yeah, I think that's my last point about that. And yeah, AI is like, as artists we know what a symphony is, and um, you're kind of a conductor now, and AI is willing to be instrumental and it's willing to play different parts that before this time were not possible. You didn't have enough time in your day or bandwidth or um, just time to go as deep to learn different parts of your system. But now AI is willing to co-pilot with you and be in the driver's seat, help you get to where you're going, but it's going to need you to have the roadmap. And so, yeah, I have that whole point about just you're the conductor with AI, and it's not about chatbots and like getting opinions. AI is best used as an operating system. Um, there's different pain points in your life that can be solved with it, and there's the point of it is to remove friction so that you can be a creator and a curator, which it can't do. So that's that on that. Let me know if you have any questions.
Do have some questions that have come up already. I don't know if you want to answer those and allow more questions to come through, or if you want to chat a little bit more and then answer some questions in like 10 minutes. Up to you.
Yeah, no problem. We can keep yapping. I think I'll just continue to describe what I some of the things I laid down because like I said in the beginning, I'm a yapper and just kind of flow. Um, we talked about content strategy. We've talked about the importance of sound campaigns. We've talked about AI and workflows. And now I'll just touch on like how this all ties together to create a system for yourself. And um, I think the system up until this point has been an open loop system where you do something, it goes out into the world, the result happens, but you can't like take the results and feed it back into your system. But now with AI, you're able to create closed loop systems, which is like you go create the content for the whole month, but you can have AI like monitor the results. And so at the end of it, or like at the end, week by week, it's saying, oh, this is working, that is not. And so you're doing more of, does this system work? This is good on catalog. Oh, yeah. And I'm happy to skip what I'm talking about right now to answer that question. This system works wonderfully on catalog songs. What I always advise with people who are putting their money up on their art is throw the logs on where the flame is brightest. And so if you have a song in your catalog that's always raised its hand, I'm going to advise you to do a campaign with that because, for example, Imogen Heap was charting last year and she had for a song that came out in 2005. So when TikTok decides to adopt something, that's when it gets its moment. And so TikTok is adopting songs all the time from different eras. And like the Gregory example that I mentioned was a deep cut song of his on his album that we just noticed raised its hand a little and we started throwing logs on it. And now it went from a deep cut to his number one song. And so um, I think that continues on my whole point about optimization and also my point what I was saying about closed loop systems, getting something where you can see when the signals are happening, things are raising its hand so you can not just be like, oh, I'm glued to my strategy. No, your strategy is to be like water and optimize, fluid on what's working and doubling down. So Mon's Facebook got to where it is because we did this and we ran amok. People don't really think about Facebook as a discovery platform, but it has an algorithm. It has a for you page, and we just took all his most viral content from TikTok that ever got into the for you page and just started regularly, like every few hours, posting it. And we had the craziest happy accidents that happened as a result, reaching audiences we never would have anticipated connecting with across different generations, walks of life, ultimately connecting him back to where he's from in Liberia and allowing his home country to discover him through a tertiary platform. All as a result, though, of getting out of our own way and optimizing. So yeah, that's these are like little pillars and building blocks of things. These are some broad strokes, but I think to touch back on another important point I was making earlier is about the ingredients that are usually found in these formats. I'd say with music, the viral ingredients that are most often seen in these formats is universal themes and being able to connect your song to what is universal to everyone else. Um, and then, yeah, I'm always toying with that as like a meta concept. And then some artists can strategically use agitation content where they have a strong opinion that divides people on one side or the other, which prompts people to comment, and you can go viral like that. And so some people use that recipe as like their whole come up. And I don't recommend that for everyone because it's not that fun to just piss people off. But you can still understand how to do it artfully and sometimes know that you can poke the bear for the art. And yeah, I'd say another thing is value, just being somebody who is giving value to your audience, and the algo is an exchange of that value. And so when you wonder what your why is, it's what you want to give to others and like packaged in a form that can uh, get through the app to them. And then yeah, the last thing that's the most important is like the promise of a payoff. I'm always thinking about like how are we going to get them to the end of the video? And so there's call to actions and indirect call to actions. Some are like send this to your best friend. Another is like I wish you lived closer, which is a quote that you would send to your best friend. And that's the difference between direct and indirect call to action. Um, yeah, most content always has a call to action somewhere buried in there, whether you see it or you don't. And one more thing I'll say about the performance format, which is that it's the most crucial like one for an artist, but there's three kinds of hooks for this. It's visual, talking hook, and text on screen hook. So you're gonna do one of those three and scale that format. If I was to name any artists that are like doing all of these formats like flawlessly, there's like a Christian singer named Josiah Queen. He's literally like a master class on these formats. Um, Pretty much if you were to look at Mon Rovia's Reels channel, it's just these formats. Like we're just using them in different ways to different songs. People like Cam Whitcomb and Country. Um, Alex Warren understands these formats. Yeah. Let me know. Let me know if y'all have any thoughts about this. I know I'm a big yapper.
No, the yapping has been very fruitful. But I will ask a couple of questions that have come in, and then maybe
Cool.
you can lead us down different yap routes as well. Something Ebby asks, how often do major algorithm changes occur, and how can creators stay ahead of them? And by the way, everyone, feel free to drop in your questions. We'll make sure they get answered as well. But that was Ebby's question. How often do major algorithm changes occur, and how can creators stay ahead of them?
I think that major algorithms have been the same for like a few years. There's different little things that they'll change, like they'll add a new feature, they'll add the repost button, they'll do things. But it's all what I was originally saying, like those levers, and then the algo is clocking for signals on what when certain levers are happening, like the retention time is really long or the share rate is really high. It's going to be like, oh, we need to scale this. And so um I think the algo for TikTok is like the big domino, and the rest of them have kind of mirrored the mechanics of TikTok. And when you get something to move on TikTok, it's likely that it will move even better everywhere else. And the cool thing about that, and this is a fun fact cheat code, is that you can repost, like you mint viral content on TikTok, and then you can reuse that viral content as like catalog for the rest of your life on these other platforms. And that was a huge reason why Mon Rovîa grew as big as he did on Facebook because we had no shame in reusing content that worked again and then again and then again. We didn't care. It like didn't matter. It was getting to different people each time, and we were just out of our own way. So, um, those are the big things. Is just the mechanics, learning how to make viral content on a native platform like TikTok, and then having a system that's spreading it everywhere else. And it'll probably even do well on YouTube and maybe even on Snapchat and Spotlight. Um, so there's a place for your content everywhere.
I thought it was interesting what Kevin followed up with after he asked about the systems that work on catalog songs. He mentioned that he always feels the pressure of needing to create new music to test these marketing strategies out, and then followed with, but maybe he should just dig into his catalog first. And I don't know, I
Do
feel like
that.
you could say a thing or two about that because I think a lot of artists end up thinking that way.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big epiphany that helps a lot is that you have some songs that maybe even came out 10 years ago that just had never had the right context yet, like marketed in these new formats. So this it still has a popularity score and you can unlock it. And I've seen it happen. Um, I've helped songs that have come out 5 years ago find their life 2 years ago and then become people's number one stream songs in their Spotify raps. So I think that's a huge fun play. Is just reassessing everything, what raised its hand, either on TikTok or on your streaming, and then try and give it a new life. Nothing is old on these apps.
You said something interesting as well, before, where sometimes TikTok chooses when a song is gonna have a moment. And we see songs that are like 30 years old having random moments on TikTok, and like these younger kids hearing these songs for the first time, and now they're like songs that are just getting rinsed and repeated on TikTok. So to that point, I really appreciate that. Like no song is too old if someone hasn't heard it yet.
Major key.
Christopher's
Yeah.
asking, or did you have anything else to say about that?
No, I mean that's just like I'm constantly keeping that top of mind. Like as I we know artists, they put like Mon Rovîa put in an album earlier this year. It has done well. We're proud of it. But I'm always like, how are we getting to the next level? How do we take it to the next level? And the answer is through optimizing and seeing where the rubber is meeting the road and continuing to try to increase the speed of that. So that's why I started to pay close attention to popularity scores and see them as like these little, like the scoreboard of the songs and try to get them over into a new category so that the app treats it differently.
Christopher is asking, what tools you use for automation and what parts of the sound campaign process do you tend to automate?
There's all kinds of tools. There's like a bunch of different platforms. Somebody mentioned in the comments a good one, Repurpose. And so you could personally build it now, luckily, or you can just use a tool like that that's already there. And pretty much just like be able to wire up your whole system. And yeah, and that will save you thousands of hours a year when you do. And so somebody else asked about viral content versus just normal content. Um, yeah, viral content. So there's content and then there's viral content. Um, Content is just the content itself that doesn't have any of the 10 ingredients that I listed. Um, so if it doesn't have any of those and it didn't pop off, then it's not viral content. But some of these pages will pick a golden format, um, and they'll like the digital postcards, for example, or a carousel format, for example. and they'll hone it to what goes viral, and they'll only do that the whole way. And that was called like a viral UGC page. And the industry depends on them for driving discovery, creating the moat of uh show some examples live here in this. Okay, yeah. So I have some examples, but they're just buried in my course. I have a ton of references for everything. I also have a promo code for anybody here that's watching. Um, the course is risingtidesviral.com, and it's a 50 off is the promo code. And then, but I wish I could like share a screen and like walk through all of this. Um, so I can like fully deconstruct, but maybe I need to make a YouTube video where I do that sometime soon. But the best
And
thing
if
I
you
can do is
do,
describe this though.
yeah, I was gonna say if you have any references also, or if you want to put anything together, we can share whatever you want to share after too with the promo code to Rising Tides as well. We can
Sweet.
share that with everyone here.
Sweet. Yeah. So yeah, that is like the last section in the course, which is like all of what I'm talking about is cool. It's educational, and these concepts are things that you can understand. But the best way in which I've learned is by seeing and then doing. And so that's like the whole last section of the course is dedicated to references of each format and different artists, different genres still utilizing the same format, showing that these formats are universal. They transcend the genres. It's just storytelling, which is as old as time. That artists in this new era have innately grasped to utilize for their marketing and structuring TikToks in these ways that scale the content. And there's another cool feature I'll mention on TikTok. Like you have, and this is another thing I forgot to mention is like you have an artist that you look up to. That's your North Star, their content style, the music they make, and their ability to go viral. And they seem really good at social media. So who is that artist? Think of that artist. Maybe name two or three of their peers are also good at social media. Now go to their TikTok page and then click the button from latest to popular. You reorganize that whole page and then go through their only their popular posts and look at it through the lens in which we just discussed today. The five formats, these ingredients, and see how your favorite artist is utilizing their channel with these strategies. Um, and that saves me so much hours just knowing that little feature, the little latest to popular. Because now it's like, cool, let's reverse engineer, let's optimize, let's figure out what they're doing well, and let's apply it to our music. And so that's how we have played the digital marketing game. Uh, and yeah, I hope that this seminar discussion will allow some shortcuts on like the second guessing of all of this and like remove some of the friction for what to do next to pop off. Let me know if there's anything else I can expound on that would be helpful.
Have a couple of questions in the Q&A as well. Ebby, what common content mistakes reduce organic reach without creators realizing it?
Um, sometimes, yeah, I think the when there's no call to action, there's no say text on screen, there's nothing that when you're just gotta assume that when you post, it's going to like potentially 100% new people. And would they stop what they're doing, take it off mute, and then listen? And usually that's the first question that like people experience when coming across content. So that's why hooks are so important. And artists without hooks, the algo doesn't know where to go. There's nothing stopping them for at least 3 seconds to be like, is this relevant to me or not? Or should I just keep going and getting inundated by the internet? And so there's a little bit of like I need to earn attention through understanding hooks and call to action. So the way I would describe like the pattern of discovery is hook, value, call to action. And we just follow that line. Anytime we come across a new piece of content, we're hooked into it, we're absorbed into the value, and then we're prompted to be like, yeah, or um, we send it to our best friend or favorite it for the information that it gave us, or repost it because it's signaling values we represent. Yeah, and I think trial reels help people a lot because some
Mm.
people have this is the question. Do you recommend while testing this stuff to use that new trial post feature for IG Reels? Yeah, so the answer there is a lot of this for people is mindset, and they don't like that Instagram, it's like the people they went to school with that are following them, and then they're trying to do their career. And so trials is like a way to sidestep the whole on being perceived thing, which is can feel awkward, but if we're going to do this, we just got to get over that. um and yeah, getting out of our own way is a huge unlock, but trial reels helps. It's to sidestep it and then to see what works and then to get data. And I think it's cool. I think now that you can even schedule trial reels, if I'm correct. But yeah, I've had some trial reels go really wild. But then I was like, why don't we just ship this to everybody? Like, whatever. So I don't really use them as much anymore, but I think if somebody is trying to test, run it.
Another question from Justin. What's the most challenging part of dealing with algorithms, and what is the most rewarding part of it for you?
Well, as you keep that, like the further in you go, like I was once where everyone here is like clueless on certain things I had no idea about yet, and I only got to know by doing. And so um I I think knowing that was key. And then as I've gotten certain success for people, it started to become like this expectation that like we need to breed this success. So that's why we have to create all these frameworks of understanding why certain things work, make it a language that we can pass on to each other to like inform and sharpen our strategy, and really just know that um after all of this time and upon producing results, the stakes keep raising. So the system just has to become better. The challenge is no longer like, can we understand the algo? I think we have a good enough understanding of the psychology as to the hive mind and what makes the algorithm tick. But it's how can we create a system that can be useful to everyday independent artists trying to unlock themselves? So I'm in the same boat as Symphony here, where I'm trying to create tools that help artists either get out of their own way or be equipped with tools that can further results or our logs on the fire in which we're growing. Um, so that's it now. It's gone from just the algo understanding to the system that can remove friction for people to make it to where people spend majority of their time creating and less being content creators, like, you know, doing the most with the algo. Hope that answered your question.
Hmm. I feel like before we get off, I know you tapped into AI a bit and the idea of creating automations to repurpose and things like that, but are there any other ways that you're currently using AI that you'd like to share with everyone? I know you kind of shared with me a little bit of that, but I don't know if there's anything that I feel like just the new way of looking at AI with not just the chatbot view, but from an agentic perspective. If there's anything that you want to share in that realm, I think it could be
Yeah, for
interesting
sure. I'll try to be,
to.
I'll give some things to look up and to research and see if it could work for you. But obviously, we all know what Claude Code is, and we all know what ChatGPT and Codex are. Most of people's experience with AI has been limited to just the chatbot, so they haven't gotten it to where they've given the Claude Code or the Codex their computer permissions to where the agents can start operating the computer on your behalf. I'd say up until this point, humans have not been native to computers, and we've mainly only clicked around 5 apps total on our Macs or desktops. But now agents know their way around the whole thing inside and out. And so they can install things for you. They can do a lot of things to make your life easier. And I always like to see the look on people's faces when they realize that an agent is doing work on their behalf. And so that's the first thing is like the get Node.js and homebrew so that your agent can cook your computer with all its power to do your agenda. There's a trust thing there that some people have to maybe get over, but I call it like jumping through the portal. And once you're through that portal, you're now in the paradigm shift of where we are um, with AI and agentic workflows. So the next thing I'll say is Obsidian is a notes app that changed the game for me with AI because before it's like you're talking to a chat bot and every time you talk to the new chat, it doesn't remember where you were from the last one and you're trying to manage different contexts. What's it know? What's it don't? Obsidian changes that, become like this second brain where all anything I'm talking to it about, it's all being stored there. And then it has different softwares that's organizing all the information, relating it to each other, creating like this knowledge map of it. So then I feel known when I'm cooking with AI. It's aware of all the projects I've got going. My to-do list has API or CLI, MCP access to any of the tools I use on the regular. So if I need to know what's in my email or what's in this content workflow, I can just ask it and it has those permissions. So that has kind of changed everything because I can be in the woods on a hike building an app. Like things have changed a lot. So yeah, that's some of it for AI is Obsidian has helped create like this storage space of it all. And yeah, like it's the execution layer of your creativity and imagination. So you have a swarm like, and also the cool thing about AI is it understands metaphors and like it can mirror nature. So you're like, yo, I need you to behave like a swarm of beehives and I'm the queen bee. It will do that and it'll spin up agents and like help you get a ton of stuff done. um One more thing I'll give on AI is like there's a new feature on Claude slash goal and slash loop. It's kind of like putting your AI in sport mode or the horse blinders on the horse. It's just it understands A to Z and it's like, all right, I'm going. And you AI, like if you're a painter, the colors of AI is data. And so you just feed it as much data as it would need on the front end, tell it your objective, send it on its way with a goal. That's my AI cheat code.
I love it. Eric, I appreciate your time so, so much. I appreciate your knowledge and everything that you've given us insight in today. I feel like not many marketers have been able to crack the code the way you have, so seamlessly, the way that you've put out not only a lot of these art as content, but people in the chat. I don't know if you guys have also seen Eric's personal content, which is so cool too. Like he just taps into the human mind and emotions and human connectivity and all of that. So he's definitely figured out the way to the algorithm and cracking that. So more on Eric soon. If he has anything that he wants us to round up for you guys, we'll send via email as well as any links to Rising Tides if you guys do want to work with Eric as well. Um, thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate you.
Thank you all. It was great to be here.
Amazing.
And we'll be tapped in. Hit me up anytime.
Dio said he booked a call with you on Monday, so
Much love, y'all.
love it. Thank you guys. We'll talk
Alrighty, y'all. Have a
later.
wonderful Tuesday.
You guys too. Bye.
All right, bye.